What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this super exciting episode, in the lead up to Collingwood's first final, I've got Melbourne City forward Socceroo Jamie Maclaren with me, big Collingwood fan. Thank you for joining us today, Jamie.
Hey Luke, how are you, mate? Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming on, man. Look, I guess first off the bat, Collingwood. We'll start with there. I see you post about them all the time. You want to talk to us about how you started following them and your love for the boys?
Yeah, grew up in Sunbury, in a very big AFL sort of town, and my sister, who's a couple of years older than me, started supporting the Pies through her friends at school, and kind of got me on that bandwagon as a 5-6-year-old, and I was bombarded with that at primary school and secondary school, so I loved footy, and I went to the same school as Mark Blitzars and Cam Guthrie, and we just had a lot of footy around us. But yeah, I've been a Pie man for a very, very long time.
And was there ever, growing up with it and stuff like that, was there ever an inkling that you kind of, because you started soccer or football really, really young as well, with youth teams and stuff like that. Was football like AFL ever on your mind?
I played school footy. I won't lie. I played school footy. I was like a small forward in the pocket and just getting the crumbs and all that, and I kicked a few goals in the school footy era, and look, I enjoy it. I'm actually not too bad with the ball at feet, and it's probably the physical side. Big boys like Maynard and that probably hitting yard probably struggle, but the movement and stuff, I'm probably similar to say Jamie Elliott in terms of the type of footballer if I was to play AFL, but love the game and a huge respect for the type of athletes they are.
Yeah, like I could, as soon as you said Jamie Elliott, a forward line with you and Jamie Elliott in it, leading up to a final would be just incredible. Look, I guess we'll talk about the first final coming up, Melbourne. What are your sort of thoughts? Are you going, or do you get to games much?
I would be going, but my wife is literally can pop any minute now. So you can only imagine the thoughts of me being at the MCG with no signal, and she's rushed to the hospital. I wouldn't see the next day. So look, I'll be watching it definitely here in this room if my wife hasn't popped yet. But I can't wait. I'm very, very, very confident. The boys have had a super season. Obviously a little bit rough the last few weeks, but I've been in part of teams where you have those patches, but it's long gone now. Fantastic win on the weekend, and onwards and upwards from now, and hopefully Nick's back soon.
Yeah, I hope so. And look, you just mentioned that you've been a part of sort of teams like that, and we saw City sort of, you got the Australia Cup at the moment. Last season you lifted the Premier's plates, and then you obviously went down to Central Coast. So what is it like being in a sort of winning culture like that, going through those patches and trying to, and knowing that it's not you as a team, like you can perform better? Is it, you guys had correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys had the Premier's plate sewed up for a couple of games. Is that correct? So what's that?
That's correct, mate. Yeah.
What's that mentality?
How do you explain? You keep a high standard for so long and week to week, and you see how the Pies are so good in the final quarter. They kind of, in a way, suck teams in for the first three, and then the last one they just burst. But that comes down to fitness, bit of mentality. They know they've got some in the tank and some boys coming off the bench. But from a soccer term, when you have a high standard, everybody wants to beat you, mate. And Collingwood's the same. Everybody just seems to like wind me up at the club, or if there's ever a result, you get DMs and stuff, and people smashing you. But that's part of being, enjoy of a massive club, and everybody wants to chop you down. And every week Collingwood seem to sort of bounce back. And the last few weeks have been difficult, but every team, it's like a grand final for them when they play the Pies. And Collingwood have had a few bad results, but they've still wrapped up the minor premiership. So it just shows you when you put in the work nice and early, that you can reap the rewards, and it's now going to come down to one-off games, and it's not about the season forms out the window, in my opinion. And I don't know what it's like in AFL terms or how the dressing room is with those boys, but you got to turn up on the night, and that's something that Collingwood have been doing the last few years.
Yeah, definitely, and we've definitely seen it, especially putting Essendon to the sword, a lower team that can sort of trip you up as well when another team's got nothing to sort of play for. And look, you've been obviously you're Melbourne City. You've got crosstown rivals in victory. When you were at the Hibs, you played for the Hearts. You scored a couple of goals, winners there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What is that like? Like, Collingwood and Carlton, right? We could face each other off in the finals. What is that like, not only as a spectator, but as a player in some of these big crosstown rival games?
I think the players actually would be less nervous in those games where, as opposed from the outside, when I watch, say, Collingwood play against Carlton, I'm more nervous watching rather than, say, we've been out there and as a player, when you play in these derbies, you want to play in the big games. You want to play in front of, 50, 60, 100,000 in terms of sometimes the Pies can rack up. So these games are what they probably dream of as a kid. And the big games are what it's all about. And obviously it's going to be quite of a sellout against Melbourne, but the bigger rivalry is Carlton because it just seems to be that love-hate relationship with work colleagues and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, mate, it's I've got a few teammates and a couple coaches who support the Blues, and if we were to face them, then it'll be a cracking night. But look, I'm confident, mate. I'm confident we can go all the way. I don't want to speak obviously too soon, but one step at a time. And our boys are looking good, mate.
No, they really are. And yeah, you're right. Everyone, it kind of bleeds to not only, footy fans, it's everyone. In the office, you always got that one guy or, or girl or stuff that's gonna give you crap. So you kind of want bragging rights as well. Look,
or even during the game, you get text messages.
It's crazy. And then, the best thing about, you touched on Collingwood's fourth quarter, it's the best thing is when they kind of message you and saying, oh, we're up here. And you're like, just wait, man. Like the game is literally not over. And, like we see it a lot in the soccer as well. The last minute winners going up to, you guys are scoring in the 90th minute, 93rd minute and stuff. It's crazy. But more so, I guess, onto the soccer side of things. You just came off the Australia Cup. You scored two in that against the Wanderers. Not the Wanderers, the Wellington Phoenix.
Wellington Phoenix, correct.
Yeah, and how's that campaign sort of looking for you guys now?
Yeah, good. It's a preparation for the season. We've got a big year coming up. We've got Asian Champions League, which is the biggest competition in Asian football, and so it's good preparation for us. It's a chance to win a trophy, and with games coming up against good opposition, and you're playing for something, it's knockout. You lose, you go home. You win, you go through the next round. So we're 2 wins out from a final, and very similar to Collingwood right now. So yeah, look, it's fantastic, and it's a great thing for our pre-season, for our new faces, because we've had a bit of a turnover with the squad. So keen to see how August and September and going into October looks.
Yeah, and October is when the new season starts. I have gone to a handful of Melbourne City games when it's not clashing and stuff like that, and I love football heaps, right? Obviously, EPL fan and stuff like that. What can we expect from City this season? After, yes, we didn't get the ultimate sort of prize last season, but what can we expect from you guys?
Look, business as usual. We'll always aim to be coming first or second. You clearly set targets at the start of the season. You want to be there or thereabouts, winning silverware and trophies. That's what it's about. But like we touched on, it's all good doing it for 27 rounds, but if you don't do it in the final series or per se in the grand final, then it counts for nothing. But we hold a high standard. We've done it for the last 4 years. We've been top 2, and that's what no club has done in Australian history. So we're pretty proud of that. We're history makers, and but at the same time, a new season has arisen, and we've got a new squad, and we believe that once we get our boys hitting our straps, we'll be the same City, which will be dominant on the ball and creating chances, which is great for me as a striker. And trying to entertain, because at the end of the day, you saw with the Matildas, they entertained, and that's what we do. And also like Collingwood, you at the end of the day, we are athletes that go out there and put our bodies on the line, but for the greater good is for the people on TV and for the fans to come to the stadiums.
Yeah, and look, you touched on the Matildas, and I guess we could jump straight into that as well. What do you think? And personally, I think it's done so much, not even just for women's sport and women's football in general, just, football or soccer, just as a whole, for Australia as well. And you had quite a successful sort of campaign as well in the World Cup last year as well. And now the Matildas, coming fourth. What do you think that means for, especially, for the A-League?
Yeah, we've had a big 8 months in terms of, the men and women's. We went to the round of 16 and played against Lionel Messi in what was a cracking World Cup, and he got what he deserved in the end. He won the World Cup, and that was the furthest the Socceroos have gone, equal to the 2006 squad, which was something you can hang your hat on and be very proud of. But the Matildas hosting something so special, just to see the stadiums full, and even if people were saying, oh, it's all bandwagon people, and that might be, but at the same time, these stadiums are getting full, and people are starting to be aware of our game, and yeah, we want to have the sort of crowds that AFL do, and that's something that we kind of strive for that. But we know that this game, AFL, is very dominant in this city, and if only you can merge sort of attendances would be fantastic. But because we play in summer, and you know the AFL plays through winter, and if we were able to capitalise on some of the fans that watch the AFL and come on summer and bring the kids would be great, because when you come to an A-League game and the stands are full, it's a cracking atmosphere.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like I said, I've been to a couple, and it's good. I love going down and watching the boys play. Melbourne City fan, Manchester City fan as well. So it kind of helps there. But look, I guess circling back to the Pies, you mentioned Maynard, you mentioned Jamie Elliott. I know you wear number 9, Noble's number as well. Who's your favourite player for the Pies at the moment? And who do you sort of resemble? I know you said sort of Jamie Elliott in the forward line. Is that who you kind of resemble in the league?
Oh, look, if I think I've got too many names to go as a favourite player. You know, everyone brings a piece to the puzzle. You know what I mean? And from a defensive point of view, there's obviously Maynard, who's just a no nonsense, and then you got Crisp in midfield. Pendlebury's done what he's done. You don't even need to explain what he's done in the game. And but then I've got a soft spot for Johnny Noble, who wears the number 9 as well, which is special. And Big Coxie, we speak on the regular. We've done some radio stuff together, and then in the forward line, you've got obviously Jamie Elliott, Bobby Hill, and then the guys that kick the goals are the ones that resemble with my sort of game. So you got a lot of respect for that in the clutch moments. And Jamie Elliott from the touchline against I think it was the Bombers was fantastic. So that was those big moments. You have a lot of respect for guys who can just breathe and not get sucked into the crowd, and just carry on with their business. So it's just great to watch the Pies fly. And there's no real main player for me, because everyone is pulling their weight, and it's just great to see.
Yeah, and I love that analogy of everyone is a piece of a puzzle to this team, because that's exactly what it is, and that's what Fly would say as well. But speaking of big moments, you scored your first goal against Hart when you were playing for Perth, and then you scored your all-time A-League kicking record for a goal kicking record for City. Like how was that? Just to see the growth of you as a person as well, all the way through what you've done.
Yeah, it was amazing. As a kid, you score your first goal and you celebrate, and you look at the tally and you're like, the next guy's on 90 goals, and you're thinking, oh, I'll never get to that. But then I surpassed that 3 years ago, and then now I'm sitting on 144 with the all-time record. And I want to keep going, mate. I want to hit 200, 250, whatever that may be. I don't know what my future holds after this season with City, but if it is in the A-League, then it would be special to keep carrying that goal record on, because I want the next guy to struggle to get it, if that makes sense. You kind of you look at all the footy tallies, and Buddy Franklin just fell a bit short of getting the all-time goal kicking, but he's such a presence, and in this modern era game, to do what he's done is also special. So it's I'm in history at the moment, and hopefully no one takes it off me anytime soon.
No, hopefully not anytime soon. Look, man, we're gonna. I've got some fans that asked a bunch of questions over on Instagram. So I'll just ask you some now. So Joseph asks, if you could have any Socceroo or Matilda play for the Pies, who would it be and why?
Apart from myself, probably would say either Curtis Good or Aziz Behich. Big Carlton fans, so I'm sorry, but they love their footy, and they're actually really, really good technically. I could see them play, and they've both got fire, and they're both good tacklers. So I reckon one of those two would fit nicely into an AFL side for sure.
In the back line next to Bruzzy and Noble. So Alon _Grin says, oh, actually no, we already answered that one. Okay, yeah. So Lockie says, what's your fave moment you've experienced as a viewer of either sport of AFL or your soccer?
I don't know how to answer that question, really. I can watch all sports, mate. Like, it's one of those ones where, I'll watch our game or watch the AFL if they're both on at the same time. It's a really tough question to sort of answer, because I love all sports, but these two are the ones that stick out for me. So it's really hard to pick it out. But the Premier League, I'm sure you watch the Premier League as well. It's always hard at different times, but the AFL's on at a perfect time. Sometimes Friday night games are beautiful.
Yeah, no, Jesus, Friday nights that's where it's at, isn't it? Like, And we get to play on a Thursday night, and hopefully you get to watch that as well, which is it's going to be
Oh, I'll be watching it, bro. I'll be watching it. Don't worry about that.
hell yeah, man. Josh asks, do you have any aspirations to go back to Europe and play again?
I'm sitting at 30, and you can see the way Europe's heading now is not with the younger players, but if there has been chances to say head back overseas, whether that's not Europe or Asia or whatever. But at the end of the day, fans need to understand that I'm locked into a contract, and for anyone to sign me would have to buy me. And sometimes the numbers haven't added up to Melbourne City's standard or even to my standard. So it hasn't worked out. And with a little one on the way now, I've got to start thinking a little bit differently. But yeah, you never know. But look, football's a crazy game. I've got a year left on the contract, and this game of football is a mental one. It just has twists and turns. You can see with Saudi Arabia now, it's just going bonkers. And who knows, mate? You really don't know. But I'm really happy here. I have to say, it's a special place to be, and I love my Melbourne City.
And you got to get to 250 goals as well.
Yeah, exactly.
CFC fan asks, what was your most memorable goal be it for club or country?
Yeah, I've got quite a bit. My first goal for the Socceroos in the Asian Cup was pretty special, just because it's your first goal for your country, one that people can't take away from you, and also the one where I broke the record. I scored a hat-trick that night, and I went from nowhere near the record to having it my own in one night in 90 minutes. So that was pretty special, and I'll say that that game against West United will stand forever in my mind. And my dad was there that evening, and that was pretty special. So that one is at the top.
That's incredible. It's incredible, man. Like before we jumped on, I was on the train coming home, and I was watching a bunch of highlights and stuff. And yeah, I saw that hat trick, and just that penalty you scored against Chile as well. And everything.
That's big too. Yeah, that doesn't go down as an actual
a goal
for your stats. Yeah. But I agree with you, mate. That was one of the penalties that at the end of the day, it sent us to a World Cup. You know, and I was pretty ballsy to put my hand up, but I was ready for that, mate. I wanted to get to a World Cup and show the coach that I've got ice cold veins to step up and take it.
Yeah, you got the Jamie Elliott veins in you, man.
Runs in the name, bro. Runs in the name.
Yeah. Look, Jamie, thank you so much for jumping on, man. I really do appreciate it, and all the supporters really appreciate it. Where can we find, or when does the City season start in October? Where we can find you?
Yeah, look, I'd love all our Pies fans to get to the City games, and I'll spend a lot of time at post games meeting new fans, and I've always got a lot of time for that. But our games are at Amy Park, so just a little short walk from the MCG, and our season's coming thick and fast. And like I said, October onwards through summer, we've got Champions League games. The best teams in Asia are coming to play us, and we have to go over there as well and play. And if we get to the Cup final, would also be pretty special. So more fans, the merrier. And I know that Collingwood's got such a big following that I'd love to see some Pies fans jump on the City bandwagon, and it'll be special. And I've got a lot of time for you. But just quickly on that with the Pies boys, I think before the World Cup, they all sent me like a little selfie video, and that was pretty iconic. I was the only boy in the Socceroo team to have a message from the AFL legends, and obviously the Dacos boys are great as well. They're Macedonian by heritage and stuff, and they probably love their football as well. So the boys have been great with me, and the ones that I do speak to, they've got a lot of time for football. So I'll try and get them to a game as well, and maybe get them a nice little box and have a Collingwood box, mate. Might have to chuck you in there.
I'd love it. No, look, again, I really appreciate it, and I'm going to be coming to more City games as well this summer, because you're right. Because it's at the end of the season, it's so good to just kind of go from footy straight into another form of football. City is just an easy club to sort of jump on, with yourself at the helm and stuff like that. So, Jamie, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really do appreciate it. Good luck with the new one on the way as well.
Thank you very much, brother. And come on, let's get to the end of September.
Oh, here we go. I'm nervous already. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Legend, man. Take it easy, all right?
And you too. Bye.